gone missing last fall after her shift from this very bar. Bethany. When her body was found, it had been all over the Fairbanks news, where Madison did her student teaching. Like herself, Bethany had been an ed major. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Just be careful." She watched the man continue toward the bar, knowing she was likely being paranoid not to accept a ride from him. He was just trying to help. More laughter reverberated from the other side of the parking lot. Madison glanced in the direction of the parked semis. She would have to walk right past them to get home. She took a few steps in her cheap-heeled sandals before turning around. The man reached for the door of the bar. "Hey," she called out. He turned. "Actually, I'll take you up on that ride. Thank you." It wasn't until after he missed the turn for her house that his demeanor changed. The disarming man she'd met in the parking lot was gone. After ignoring her pleas to turn around, the man's voice had morphed into a vicious snarl as he sped along the Alaska highway and announced that she wasn't going home. He could be the same monster who killed Bethany. Madison had reached for the door handle. The man cinched a metal handcuff around her wrist and yanked her arm away from the door. Fueled by terror, Madison grasped the handle with her other hand and threw herself out of his speeding car. Now she held her breath as the bright beam swept across the forest in the opposite direction from where she lay. A twig dug into the raw flesh on her elbow from where she'd skid across the pavement. She exhaled, lowering her face to her forearm as branches crunched beneath his shoes a few feet from where she lay. Her lungs stilled as the beam shone onto her back, illuminating the forest floor around her. She pushed against the ground with her palms. She was only a few inches off the ground when the weight of the man's knee on her back shoved her down. His grip clamped around her handcuffed wrist, yanking it behind her back. With her other hand, she frantically swept the ground around her until her fingers brushed the edges of a cold rock the size of a softball. She gripped it, then twisted her torso and swung the rock into the side of her assailant's skull. The man's head recoiled sideways from the blow. He grunted in pain, and his grip loosened. She pulled her arm free as he rolled off her back, cradling his head in his hands. She got to her feet, pain shooting up the side of her leg like an electric shock. She bit the inside of her lower lip and limped in the direction of the highway. When she reached the edge of the forest, she sagged forward, resting her hands on her knees. Ahead, the light from the moon drew the edges of an empty stretch of highway. A branch snapped on the ground several feet behind her. She whipped around, envisioning the man creeping toward her through the darkness. But all she could see was the outline of the dark woods. As fast as her ankle allowed, she raced down the dry ditch separating her from the road when a pair of headlights appeared in the darkness. "Thank God!" She waved her arms above her head before her ankle gave out again, then crawled up the side of the ditch on her hands and knees. When she reached the blacktop, she stood, stepping over the white line into the lane of the oncoming car, frantically waving her hands. The headlights slowed. Her chest heaved with relief. She stole a glance over her shoulder, making sure the man hadn't followed her onto the road. Her breath stuck in her throat as the vehicle's bright beams illuminated a pair of eyes in the tree line. They stood much too short to belong to the man. Something emerged from the trees as the car braked to a stop, the heat from its engine warm against her legs. The headlights illuminated the forest and lit up the figure's tail, and Madison watched in horror as the coyote ran beside the ditch in the opposite direction before tucking into the forest. The driver's door opened, and Madison pivoted slowly on her bare feet, knowing who it was even before he stepped in front of the car. The road swayed beneath her as his plaid shirt moved in front of the headlights. "There you are." A sick smile played at the sides of his mouth. Blood dripped down the side of the face she'd found attractive less than an hour ago. "I told you this wasn't a safe town to be walking alone at night." Madison spun and ran in the opposite direction along the vacant highway as fast as her injured ankle would allow. Please let there be another car. Someone.